Well, I've stopped training now. I'm on holiday at the moment. I'm doing probably about anywhere between 8 and 10 to 12 pints of lager a day at the minute. Not eating now, so I'm just getting my calories through alcohol. And that's it really, just doing nothing to do, is there? I've done like training with no further process, so it's one of them things where at the minute I'm just doing nothing. Just chilling out, being a man of leisure in lockdown. Let's break it down, shall we? Okay. It's a bare minimum. Eddie Earn's a boxing promoter, so is Bob Arum.
Those are the words of Tyson the Gypsy King Fury as we further dissect the interview from yesterday. As I promised, I will have for you guys more of the same, but a little bit of a different part of the interview. Now, as you could hear, Tyson Fury says that he's drinking about 12 pints of lager a day, not eating or training. And to counterpunch that shows that he really doesn't have faith in the fight happening. And I don't understand why. I mean, everyone else, his promoter, the other partner's promoter, the other fighter's promoter, is saying that, hey, this fight is close to being done. We're just looking for a site fee, okay? And that's the next interview that I will counterpunch concerning Frank Warren, concerning this whole deal. But as far as Tyson Fury's talking about, he's drinking 12 pints and he's not been training. Now, I understand, not the training part. Your body needs rest. You know, and someone like Tyson Fury, if he needs constant exercise, I think he can do that through simply walking, not really, putting his body in strain and pushing your body to that point. Because what could happen, you could end up injuring something by doing that, overtraining, and we saw it all before. I think he was overtrained in the Otto Vailene fight. And him not training, okay, that's not too bad. But him drinking 12 pints of lager a day, talking about I'm not eating, well, you're eating something. And one thing I noticed about Tyson Fury, you have to be careful with a guy like that. He's a big guy, okay? He's a big guy. He's 7 foot tall almost, nearly. And we've seen him pack on the pounds. Your body if your body has reached a certain limit, it's easier to get back to that limit. It's a lot easier, way easier to gain weight than it is to lose weight. Mitosis and fructosis and, different things where your body goes through starvation modes and that thing. And if he's drinking pints of lager, that lager could go right to his gut or any other place to his body. It's lager. Okay. It don't really go nowhere. It has some girth to it. Okay. So him saying he's doing that, he's just sitting back on holiday, and then you're supposed to be fighting one of the most lucrative fights of your career. It shows that he's given up on the idea of the fight. And that's not a good thing, because if people are putting their trust in you, hoping that you'll be ready and prepared for a fight whenever it comes, why would you be drinking 12 pints of freaking lager a day? That makes no sense at all to me. And it's one of those things. He's saying, well, it's not up to me, it's up to my promoters. Well, the promoters obviously know more than you do. You're just a fighter. If you're just a fighter, why aren't you just training or at least sitting back, relaxing, keeping yourself healthy? Drinking 12 pints is not keeping yourself healthy. In fact, someone with mental health issues, I think he should take heed on the things that already happened. And it also contradicts, and pay attention to me, people, the things that he said he's given up on. Well, I've given up on this I've given up on social media and soft drinks. Okay, what difference does it make if you're drinking lager, though? Okay, unless they know something or he knows something that I don't, that makes that healthier than drinking something like Coke. Okay, it very well might be, but it's contradicting to me saying, well, I give up this, but then I'm going to do a lot of that. It seems like, he's not really taking care of his temple in preparation of his body in the possible challenge with Tyson Fury. I don't know why he put cold water on the fight. He's kept quiet while his promoter Bob Arum and Eddie Hearn talking about a fight in June or July. Okay. But as you can see, this guy is drinking it up, living it up on holiday. And I guess and you look at it this way, if he figures it's not going to happen the way they're bouncing around dates, he's saying fuck it. But it's not encouraging for anybody. None of his promotional team, the networks, the other fighter, which is Anthony Joshua and his team, that's not promising to anybody to see Tyson Fury go down that same thing. If I was to guess, people, now hear me out. If I was to guess, this could be a repeat of what happened in 2015. What do I mean by that? Tyson Fury went to the tip of the iceberg by knocking Klitschko off of there, right? Thumping him off. tripping him off, whatever. He got him off that tip of that iceberg. But what happened to him? It was lonely up there. He had nothing to do, and he fell all the way down. Now, for him not getting fights and him, like you heard about the training, though, let me counterpunch that in the opponents. There's nobody's fault besides his team that he didn't get the Caballero fight. See, nobody knows the true origin of why that fight was canceled. The excuse was, it wasn't enough money. It wasn't about money. It was about him fighting. Okay? We heard this same interview. He said it's not about the money. It's about me getting 2 fights in and being active. He hasn't been active. So someone's failing Tyson Fury somewhere. If it's not Tyson Fury himself and his own bullshit, we don't know. Okay, so at the end of the day, Tyson Fury has no one to blame but himself or his team for a fight not getting made. Because I get Caballero, it was no problem with that team. Team Wilder, it was no problem with that team except the networks and the coronavirus. But that fight should have easily been fought in a bubble. It could have easily been fought in a bubble. It wasn't really demanding as all the other 2 fights. So what difference does it make? At the end of the day, what difference did it really make is how big that fight should have been. Okay. Now, I know a lot of people would disagree. Well, the fight would have been big as the trilogy fight. Okay. But at the same time, we have to realize the time we were in. We're still in. We're in a pandemic. And that's another problem that people are just trying to overlook and avoid. We're in a pandemic. You get what you get. Okay? Anthony Joshua got $10 million to fight his last fight. That sounds like a Deontay Wilder salary in these days. That's very low for him compared to $85 million. If you looked in your bank and you looked at and you seen $10 million and it's supposed to have been $85 million, wouldn't you be upset? Yes. So it tells you that things go on. People adapt. You go with the flow. And I think they should go with the flow, or they should have went with the flow. Okay? But again, there's nobody's fault besides greedy decisions because of greedy promoters. Yes, that's right. Bob Arum and those guys and Fox over there too wanted to push this shit. And then Tyson Fury said, hell no, we're not going to do that. And he put a screeching halt to all of it. Okay, so, but again, whose fault is that? That ain't Wilder's fault. That ain't Caballero's fault, because he's supposed to fight Caballero when he dissed Wilder, or dissed the idea of fighting Wilder later. Then he said he would never fight him at all. Now, that's not true anymore. Well, yeah, I forgive him. Okay, so we have a problem with the inconsistency of Tyson Fury. For one, the way he thinks, and for two, the inactivity to make a sound decision. Okay? And his activity. So it's at his activity and the way he thinks. Okay, those are the two things. He thinks all over the place, and he hasn't fought anyone. Since he hasn't fought anyone, that's going to be a problem. Okay, and I know that's what he's talking about, and I don't think he will admit that's the problem. Like, look, I need to fight twice this year. Now it's coming down to the root of the matter. No, I need to fight twice this year. Well, fair enough. If you won't need to fight twice this year, what is he expecting? He ain't expecting a Joshua fight, I can tell you that much, drinking 12 pints of fucking beer. He ain't expecting that. Obviously not. So he's expecting a what? Another tune-up fight. So he'll probably end up fighting Caballero now or somebody else. Then maybe take on a fight like a Joshua later on in the year, or a Wilder, or he might end up fighting Wilder. And that's really what he should have done in the first place. He should have fought Wilder, so that whole debacle could have been squashed, but it didn't happen. Okay, and that's another strange question mark, as we all know. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think of Tyson Fury drinking 12 pints of beer a day. Please subscribe, and you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.